Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are pleased to introduce you this first webinar, this first Pantour webinar, where we will be introducing our work in Pantour. I'm going to do a brief presentation of the project, and afterwards we will have some more people being here. We are pleased to introduce you this. Afterwards, we will have Corne, who will be presenting us some results, and then we will have a roundtable with some participants of the project. With no delay, I'm going to share my screen to introduce you this project. Okay, so this is our agenda. As I was saying, we are going to have this introduction, then we will have the skills intelligence results, and then we will have a short debate with some participants in the project. So just let me, here we are. Where do we come from? Why are we working in Pantour right now? We come from another project, which was NTG, which was Next Tourism Generation Alliance, which was done in 8 different European countries for the last 5 years. NTG had the aim of discovering which relation we had between job positions, between skills and training. It was focused on 5 subsectors in the tourism industry: the subsector of accommodation, food and beverage, destination management, visitor attractions, and travel agencies and tour operators. What we did was to find out which skills were needed for every job position in these 5 subsectors, and in which degree they were needed for every of the hierarchy inside every businesses. What we discovered was that professionals have skills, the professionals have some abilities. The addition of skills, the addition of and combination of skills allow people to develop a job position. But the most important thing is that the different addition and different combination of the same skills may allow me to develop a different job position. So what we were trying to do, what our research was focused on, telling training institutions to provide skills to professionals, then the industry should also provide tasks and procedures to these professionals, and that would allow professionals to develop a wide range of jobs. Our main goal in Pantour will be to implement the blueprint. This blueprint was our final product in NTG. We delivered it to the European Commission in the summer of 2022, and it was the plan for sectoral cooperation. And what it tries to do, what it does, in fact, is to reduce the gap between the skills that professionals have and the needs of skills that there are actually in the businesses. So the NTG blueprint, what did was to tell businesses which skills were needed and to allow training providers to provide those trainings for these skills. The moment that Pantour will implement this blueprint, it will boost innovation through cooperation on activities, partnerships, and new resources. Which is the key to success in this project? And I am sure, and I always tell this, even when we were in NTG, that the key to success of this project is the combination of partners. Half of our partners are training institutions, and half of our partners are businesses, representatives. So this combination ensures that what businesses need is heard by training providers. So we don't have skills with no training, and in the same way, we don't have training institutions to provide training on skills that are not needed actually in the businesses. So this is my team. We are almost 50 people working in the project in these 13 different entities. Which are the areas of focus in Pantour? Well, we are going to mix a lot of things. They are all focused on discovering these skills and on providing training for these skills. We are going to have this sectoral skills and intelligence and monitor, which we will know in a minute. We are going to analyze different occupational profiles in the tourism sector, just to see which skills are needed for every occupational position. We are going to deliver also a skills strategy and action plan for the tourism ecosystem. At the same time, we will be delivering all the curricula. We will do all the training programs and methodologies. We will have handbooks for teachers so they can teach on these skills needed for the tourism industry. We will have a very nice and very complete skills lab ecosystem, which will work as a hub on internet that will allow also professionals, but also businesses and training institutions to know which skills are needed. And we will establish different national skills partnerships in the countries where we have partners in Pantour, which are 9 countries. So in these partnerships, they work as a think tank. They work as group where we have businesses, we have also public institutions, and we also have training institutions. So in those groups, they are going to make sure that every skill that is needed will have, it reflects on a training, and it also will be supported by the public governments in that country. These are the final products that will be delivered by Pantour. As I was saying, we will have all these profiles, we will have the training programs, we will have the handbooks, and we will have this strategy that we will also deliver to the European Commission. So this is my short presentation of Pantour. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy this webinar, and I will give the floor to Cornet Dagmans, who is the leader of the research parts in Pantour. His position is research manager in tourism at Breda University. So Cornet, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna Maria, for the introduction of the Pantour project. So what I will do is first share my screen with you and guide you around the first findings that we have from the first part of the project. So let me share the screen and then I will put it into presentation mode. Let me see. Yes, so I hope it's nicely visible for you all. So yeah, so what we have been doing in the last, I would say, last 6 months as of the start of the project, we are doing this research into the current and future skills provision in tourism, with I would say the ultimate goal to come up with what we call within the Pantour project a skills intelligence monitoring system. So yeah, and to be able to come up with this, we did secondary data research in 3 different skill sets, which are very important currently in tourism. And that were also already part of the previous project, as Anna Maria pointed out, the digital, social, cultural, and green skill sets. So I will guide you around these first findings that we have already now. So I would say one of the main goals that we have in the Pantour project is to have, I would say, an overview of what are the current skills gaps and how can we tackle them and how can we have a prospect on the future skills needs in tourism, and to be constantly able to see how these gaps are developing, which gaps are, I would say, disappearing and other gaps are appearing. And to be able to do this, we want to build together with the industry and with training providers, universities, governments, trade associations, the skills intelligence and monitoring system. That's how we call this mechanism that should be able to cover for these current and upcoming skills gaps. So that's one of the first things that we need to do in the Pantour project. And the main aim to have this skills intelligence monitoring system is to feed the results of this. So as soon as we know what are the skills gaps and how will the future skills gaps evolve, we can incorporate this in tourism curricula to integrate a stronger work-based connection learning in the tourism ecosystem, to address these new skills in universities, in VET institutions, in training provision companies, etc., and of course in occupations for the millions of people already working in tourism throughout Europe. And last but not least, with the project and with the skills intelligence monitoring system, we will be able to support the Green Deal, the European Green Deal, the digital and green transition that we are working on towards 2030 and beyond for the tourism workers and tourism in general within Europe. So what we did is an extensive secondary data research from an international perspective. So we did a complete analysis of existing research that has been done in the last couple of years by EU institutions, academic researchers, consultancy companies, industry associations, etc. And we focused on the Pantour specific countries. So there are 11 countries involved in the Pantour project, and we focused on the requirements and what's happening in the different countries to come up with some fact and figures, training provision in the countries, etc. And now today we can present some first findings, although we are still in the process of finishing the report of the secondary data analysis that will be published on the website in due time, and we expect this in the next coming month to be ready. As a kind of a background in this, we started with what's going on in tourism. So there are 5 mega trends, so to say, that play an important role currently in tourism, and derived from these 4 macro trends, mega trends. We worked on 3 different skill sets that is currently under research in the Pantour project. So as the OECD, in some studies of the last year, the last one 2022, they focus on 4 different macro trends. Visitor demand is changing rapidly. So people are expecting, I would say, a more personal approach in tourism. There's the aging, of course, within the European Union and also globally, of course. So this is changing the visitor demand. People are expecting high levels of service. We need to move towards sustainable tourism growth, as we know from the Green Deal. So with all the tourism impact on, for instance, climate effects, we need to make sure that we move forward in a sustainable way. Then there's all kind of enabling technologies. So tourism, and I would say the management of tourism is, from the perspective of the back office of tourism, is much more evolving into a digital process with digitization everywhere, from customer demand, but also in companies. And there's the travel mobility, people, I would say the movement, transport of tourism, which is something to address. So this is I would say, the foundation, the common ground to work on the 3 most important skill sets as we see them within the Pantour project: the sustainable, the social cultural, and the digital skill sets that need to be improved to bridge the gaps between these macro trends and what's happening in, I would say, educational programs aimed at tourism and for workers in tourism, of course. So let's first have a look at the things that we touched upon in the secondary data research with respect to the digital skills from the secondary data analysis. From all parts of the customer journey, digitization is quite important. So in all stages of the customer journey, so that's from the perspective of the guest, There's technology and digitization all around in all aspects of the decision-making process, whether it be pre-travel, during travel, post-travel, in the stages of information collection, people reading reviews, doing the bookings. Afterwards, they will do posting of reviews. There's, I would say, IT is involved everywhere. So this is where I would say companies and organizations need to tap in, of course. This makes also important for companies that ICT is a core element in, I would say, not only marketing and communication of tourism, but also in the whole back office processes. And I would say in all departments in tourism companies, it is a very important component, but it will be even more important within 5 years. So a continuous training will be needed over there. This is accelerated, of course, in the last couple of 2 years by COVID-19. It has accelerated the need and I would say the importance of digital skills for all types and sizes of tourism companies. So when we look at the last couple of 2 years and we look at our level of remote working, video conferencing, but for tourists also contactless check-in, the use of biometrics, etc. Online experiences since the last 2 years, at least in 2020 and 21, regular tourism was hardly possible. So there was a movement from, I would say, live tourism to online tourism. So online experiences, making it quite important to incorporate this in tourism jobs, which is even more important for small and medium enterprises, because small and medium enterprises, in a lot of cases, they have quite a lack, I would say, of finances, knowledge, background in IT. So for these type of companies, it's even more complicated to keep track of what's going on in ICT in tourism. And there's a lot of support needed over there to get them in line with all the bigger companies with respect to digitization. So there's a lot of challenges over there in these companies as well. So from research, we learned that the demand for digital skills is even 6 times faster than any other skills. The need for these kind of skills, when you look at all kind of things that are going on in tourism, sharing economy, virtual augmented reality use in tourism. As we see recently with ChatGPT and all the impact it has on implementing artificial intelligence in tourism will be, I would say, even faster as it is right now. We see data-driven decision-making to provide customers with personalized experiences. So these kind of things, not only so the basic things that are needed for tourism workers, but also advanced skills that are needed in tourism for IT in tourism. So what we call the fourth industrial revolution makes it possible that all kind of, I would say, call it technological unemployment is happening because of service automation, the rise of conversational interfaces, chatbots, robotization makes it possible that some existing jobs are just disappearing or having less importance, and the emergence and the rise of new jobs that involve ICT skills. So this means that higher levels of digital qualifications are needed in general in all kinds of jobs in tourism, and companies that are arising, working around new business models that I would say that are more like of IT companies than I would say traditional companies. So this centration around ICT is getting a very prominent place in the next coming years in tourism. So we need to be aware of that and to educate our tourism workers to work in this kind of changing economy in tourism. Then we have the social and cultural skills. Tourism remains very important also from a social perspective, because for competitiveness of tourism component of tourism companies, these social and cultural things are not only, I would say, nice to have, but also need to have, because social abilities and cultural abilities are directly impacting the guest impressions and feelings. So skills related to communication, diversity, inclusion, etc., are gaining importance in tourism, because in the end, tourism stays, despite all ICT, it remains a people's business as well. It's a service industry, which makes it important for tourism workers, and especially the ones that are directly in contact in the front office with guests and with customers, to be able to have language skills and all kind of skills that make guests feel at home, and to make sure that you can deal with emotions, with conflicts, etc., is relevant and will be more relevant in the future. Then there's the relevance of the transversal skills, which can be called skills to develop skills. So people not only need to have the digital skills and the social skills, but since things are moving forward quite rapidly, it is important as well that people are aware of what's happening all around them with regard to collaboration, creative thinking, problem solving, adaptability, etc. So this is not specifically for tourism, but these are skills that are important for all kinds of tourism jobs all around. For tourism employers, there's a challenge as well. So they need to be able to provide workers active in their company with what we would call sustainable employability. So there's this aging population, so people need to work longer. There's an increased participation rate, so employers need to make sure that they can provide workers with career perspectives, with well-being, to make sure that people are the right persons on the right place, to give them, I would say, a work atmosphere that is in line with what workers expect, of course. Education and lifelong learning is important to stimulate this growth mindset of people, and employer branding and craftsmanship, since we see quite a lack of enough sufficient talent in tourism. This kind of war for talent and a search for the right people on the right place makes it not easy for people to, on the current labor market, which is quite strict, to search for the right competition. So I would say employer branding and craftsmanship becomes more important for tourism employers. Then to close with the sustainability skills, of course, some first results from this part of the research. I would say sustainability skills are three types of sustainability skills: social, economic, and environmental sustainability skills. Within the frame of the Pantour project, we mostly focus on the environmental and green part of skills. And in these type of skills, we see that for all tourism employees, and not only for, I would say, the people that are working in a kind of an environmental role or a green role or a sustainable development department, it's all about developing the right sustainable products, market them in a green way with the right tools for marketing and communication, to be sure to meet up with the Green Deal, and to have the right people having the right mindset to work in the climate change adaptation and mitigation field. So this was already important. What we see from the country-specific analysis that we did, that this is gaining importance in the curricula. But nevertheless, we think that even an acceleration in this field is necessary to meet the requirements that are written down in the European Green Deal for 2030 and the years beyond. So I would say also something that in the next stages of the Pantour project that needs extra attention to make sure that we come up with meeting the skills gaps that are currently existing in this field. So thank you for your attention. In the next stages of the Pantour research, we will do quite a large part of field research. So we will do some research within the Pantour project countries, and to see whether we can add and build upon the existing research to have a more refinement on where the skills gaps in green, social, and green are existing, what the future skills gaps will be. So, and then the last stage of this part of the project, to have this skills intelligence monitoring system in place as an input to the other work packages for the project. Thank you for your attention. I will return back now to, I think, Anna Maria, who will take over, and let's hear our panel discussion, who will take over from now. Thank you, and thanks for your attention. Bye-bye. We'll stop sharing the screen now.
Thanks, Corne, for
Yes.
the presentation. It has been really interesting because you have gone through all of the parts of the project. Thank you for being so explicit on the skills that are going to be needed in the industry. I am sure now in the roundtable that we are going to have now, the different countries are going to highlight which are the most important points for them. I'm giving the floor to Lopke Elbers, who is lead on communication in Pantour, and she's also a researcher at Breda University. Please, Lopke, thank you.
Thank you, Anna Maria. And thank you all for being here, also on my behalf. I would really like to address that the desk research that has been done by Corne and his team and the country representatives will appear online. So we make a publishable version of this report soon. And now I would like to start to invite some country representatives from all over Europe, from West Europe, but also countries related to the central and south part, to talk about innovating and renewing skills intelligence today, because we found a lot of best practices that are worth sharing. So I would like to start to talk to Alba Escobar. She works at CEHAT and she was responsible for the desk research in Spain. So welcome, Alba. The analysis that you did in the desk research provide a high quality country desk report that illustrates an overview of travel and the tourism industry in Spain. And the tourism contribution to the Spanish GDP is historically considered high, with 14% of its total economy. And could you give us an overview of the tourism sector distribution in Spain?
Okay, so thank you, Lopke, first of all, for inviting me to this first Pantour webinar. For me, it's such a pleasure being here. So first, I would like to highlight that figure that you have told us, this 14%, because this is the best mark that Spanish history of tourism has had. It was in 2019 when we had this result. It obviously dropped with the pandemic in 2020, but the last results that we have from 2021 are really good, are of recovering till an 8.5%. So we're really happy for this. We are just waiting for 2022 results. So passing through the overview of this tourism distribution, I would like first to have an overall view of the different subsectors that we have. We have first food and beverage, that is the largest one here in Spain. That's followed by the accommodation, tourist intermediation, and finally the complementary services that I would like to explain them as the different complements that we get in our customer experience to complete our good experience in destination. So also I would like to highlight two facts of the hotel distribution in Spain, because I think they are really good for them understanding all the situation that we currently have. One of them is that the 80% of the hotels in Spain have less than 10 employees. So they are really, really little staff. And also, if we take a look to the different distribution that we have between independent hotels and hotel chains, the independent hotels get a percentage of 53%, more than half of it, and it's just followed by 23% that will be the hotel chains of less than 25 hotels. So I think these really detailed companies, we have to take into account their situation to then understand, of course, regulation and also the different internal structures that they will have.
Okay, thank you. The report has also clarified the main points related to tourism problems, such as depopulation, seasonality, oversaturation, low tourism innovation, tourism phobia. And the problem identification in tourism is important in order to create a strategic plan containing these digital, green, and social skills that could be improved through Pantour. Now, which type of digital, green, and social skills could be prioritized, and how would you assure their dissemination among businesses and professionals in your country?
Okay, so if I had to choose between the different skills that we have seen that are going to be needed in Spain, for digital, I would say the big data analysis and its application in different companies, and maybe also what concerns to the automation of different tasks in companies. So Corne has talked about it a little. I would like to just say that in this way, if all these tasks are covered by, in this case, technology, the different employers are ready to get only this human touch with clients. That is just the thing that technology cannot do. Then passing through green, I would talk about the administration of resources in terms of biodiversity and taking care of environment in general. And for social skills, I would name respect and equality, also in intercommunication, on the lifestyle of every staff member, but also in the internal company. And in what finally concerns to assure dissemination, we know that it's really difficult to get this, but maybe in Spain, we think that if government should hear these workers and these businesses and tell them, okay, what should we do? What training do you think we need? Maybe doing like some debate groups in which businesses, public sector, and trading providers, of course, can meet and talk about this. And this is more or less what happens in Pantour. As Ana Maria has said, the key of success is just taking this alignment between the private sector and trading providers, so that this, when it matches, I think it's, of course, this key of success of this project.
Thank you so much, Alba. And I can imagine that the collaborative governance support will help the sustainable development goals. And it's also mentioned in your country analysis as the main goal, where public and private stakeholders work together, right, in the tourism sector of the country. So that's also an important point of your desk analysis, right?
Yeah. If we talk about collaborative governance, I think like the main idea to understand this concept will be that private sector and public sector have to be aligned. If one of these two stakeholders goes in their own way, this is not going to work, because we have to go in the same path. So as in Spain, in what concerns to tourism regulation, it's in a regional level. We know that it seems difficult, but for us, we think it's the better way to do it. As, for example, we have different realities in tourism in Spain. It's not the same to talk about collaborative governance for a tourism in Pirineos as do it for Ibiza. It would be really, really different. So if we put sustainability in the middle, we are going to reach these sustainable development goals that I think they will boost the economy in a really positive way. They are going to do it without making any pain, maybe in environment or either in economy. And this collaborative governance, I think it will show up really important values, that it will be transparency with citizens, collaboration between public and private sector, getting these resources allocated and making it happen in a really sustainable way, so that we can reach our goals just not only the economic, but also the social and environmental ones. So I think it will really help.
Thank you so much for this in-depth insight in your country desk report. Thank you, Alba. I would like to go to Finland, to Sanna-Marie Renfors from Satakunta University of Applied Sciences. You did also do a desk research, and the study you did implies the dominance of women in the tourism sector, about 71%. And this is also interesting to talk about these characteristics, especially with regards to identifying the factors related to gender roles, other suggestions, addressing gender equality, and in which type of tourism businesses activities that demands more involvement from male or female gender. Can you tell us a bit more about these characteristics and how this is innovating and renewing skills intelligence?
Thank you very much, Lopke. I'm very happy to be here and share my thoughts. For example, if we think about Finland as a country, I think that in general, women's employment rate is quite high in Finland by international comparison. That's why, for example, I think this is very much highlighted. If you think about men's employment rate in Finland, it's only about 1 or 2% higher than of women, and working life is based in Finland on gender equality. But however, women and men, partly they do work in different industries. And in the Nordic countries, it is very usual that tourist, restaurant and accommodation sectors, they have been typically dominated by women. So in the Nordic countries, in these sectors, these really are dominated by women. So for example, if you think Finland, the share of women in our tourist industry is 71%. And if you take a closer look at different positions, for example, women's share of hotel managers in Finland is 53%, and women's share of hotel receptionists is 82%. For example, chefs and bartenders, there are, however, a bit more men than women working in those jobs. Women also, they dominate as entrepreneurs in these sectors, as they establish micro-sized businesses. And I think that this is the reason why the sectors also, they provide great opportunities to self-employment for women. And I think that one issue is that female dominance can be already seen in tourism, vet and higher education. There is not many male applicants. Therefore, I think that it's very important to promote these sectors and job opportunities early on, also to boys, to encourage them to find their career in these sectors. So, in brief, this is the case here in Nordic countries.
Yeah, that's a good statement. Also, to start from an early stage, inviting everyone exactly to work in the tourism industry. And in Finland, of course, despite the seasonal nature of tourism, it is also interesting to reflect on challenges at management level that span from junior to senior leadership, and to which extent specific skills and criteria that shall be added in order to reach a balanced tourism goal. Finland is also well known for its wellness tourism, where sauna is some of the local heritage that is extensively integrated in its tourism offers. And in this regard, can you add some reflections if nature and wellness tourism may further need certain digital, green and social related skills expertises that shall be addressed in Pantour?
This is a very interesting question. Thank you. I think that nature is the base for Finnish well-being and very essential part of our everyday life and recreation. Finns, they do have a very close relationship with nature, and therefore nature and wellness are very much connected. We talk about wellness and well-being from nature, the healing power of forest and lakes. So therefore, I think that the needed skills are related to how to productize the health impacts of being in nature, how to create responsible and sustainable nature experiences with wellness effects. Also understanding the cultural differences in target groups is needed to be able to productize these. And I think that these experiences, they bring income, especially to micro entrepreneurs in remote areas. So it's very important. And as micro entrepreneurs, they dominate the industry here. Increasing their skills in general is very essential. Also, I think that one thing to highlight is that the tourist destinations here in north part of the Europe, especially in our coast and archipelago, they have hit records during the pandemic due to the growth of tourism here. So the locals, they actually discovered our destinations and not went abroad for the holidays. So local tourism grew. And nature tourism demand, it increased in more remote and sparsely populated areas. So in some cases, nature tourism and outdoor recreation demand have grown to the levels where the carrying capacity, for example, of the relevant sites and routes have been at risks. So I think that green skills, for example, in sustainable development of nature tourist destinations, visitor management and sustainability communication, increasing tourist awareness, how to behave in nature is needed, as I think that our relationship with nature is a bit different than for example, international travelers. So I think these kind of things, productizing the well-being effects of the nature and also ensuring sustainability of our nature-based tourist destinations.
Thank you so much for your broader reflection on the situation of Finland and how the whole European tourism industry can learn from that. Thank you very much, Sanna Maria.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to continue to go to Maya Ivanova from Varna University of Management. Because in Bulgaria, despite scarcity economy on skills and experts, Bulgaria does have a lot of programs. And it will be interesting to see how the juggle with limitations is still advancing tourism. And extensive studies and best practices conducted in Bulgaria and are one of the quality contributions, right? So the digital initiatives and online competence platforms might serve as a good reference in the Pantour project. So my question is, which incubators related to tourism and digital could be existing at the national and or regional level that are interesting?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lopke. Thank you for being part of this wonderful webinar. Well, regarding incubators, I would propose a little bit different view on this point, because the tourism companies are mostly users of the already launched technologies. They hardly develop themselves the technologies. So in this regard, I would propose another issue, also pointing another problem that we have identified, that still many managers and owners of the tourism companies are quite, how to say, skeptical about technologies, how to utilize them in the best, and how to take the most value of their use. So at one point they try to introduce one or two technologies, but in most of the cases they are not able to take the best and also to make synergies of using several technologies at once. So having this in mind, I would propose that we could develop incubators that can serve for consultancy and advice of experts who are able to give some more information how to integrate technologies, how to synergize their benefits, how to take the best of it. And moreover, in this way, we'll have the chance to enhance the digital skills of these managers and owners who would come for advice and expert consultation. So these incubators could be organized on local or regional level by municipalities who also serve as DMOs here in our country, but also by different professional associations and other NGOs. I think this type of incubators will be much more useful for the managers and tourism business in general.
Thank you for your elaboration on this topic, and also as it it is reported in your analysis is that there is a lack of precise evaluation on the tourism employers, and the need of staff with particular knowledge and skills. So as stated in the country-specific challenges, it will be interesting to hear some of the thoughts about an ideal evaluation, the way of evaluating that may sustainably fulfills the expectation of the involved stakeholders. Could you elaborate on this a bit?
Well, this is quite a large topic, but still I'll try to answer briefly. So generally, state of the art, in order to identify the needed skills and knowledge, the manager should first conduct a thorough analysis of the operations of the service design by tasks and skills in order to implement certain tasks. Afterwards, the identified tasks and relevant skills to be grouped into job descriptions, and finally, to search for candidates that match those requirements. For now, I can say in our country, most of the employers are relying on documental evidence like diploma, certificates, and so on, which, in my opinion, do not provide this thorough overview of the skills and knowledge of the potential employee. And here I really hope that with the launch of the Skills Lab and the possibility to make a job profile, to make an employee profile, it will greatly contribute for such evaluation, and we're expecting this Skills Lab for sure.
Yeah, there we have a lot of work to do indeed.
Yeah, of course.
So thank you very much, Maya, for your reflections from Bulgaria. I would like to go quickly to our partner in Portugal, Vera Cunha. I hope you're there. So another great example are the programs in Portugal that are offered by Nova to provide training for senior level staff to face challenges of globalization in the competitive markets. And this is really nice because we are not only providing new generation of skills, but also middle-aged people that are considered and need to have updated knowledge about technology and suitable for their capacity as well. So Vera, in the whole context of Pantour, what kind of skills gaps would you need to be tackled to improve capacity building and leadership for the tourism sector?
Good morning. Good morning. I think, thank you for your question, and thank you for letting us share some of our best practices in Portugal. And I would say that one of our main challenges is really making sure that long life training is a reality in every level of the workforce chains. Because you were saying that we need to make sure that leaderships are skilled and are trained, and this is mainly one of our focus. So I would say that the most important skill gap that we need to improve is definitely the need to learn and to improve, and maybe even more important, the will and the compromise to implement change in the organizations. But also we know that this is not easy, and in a more objective way, we would identify some of the gaps that we still find in the sector and we still think that need to be developed. So we can mention, for instance, digital citizenship, cultural awareness, networking skills. We thought that is really important, the well-being and personal safety at work, corporate sustainability management, sustainable finances, European Union taxonomy for sustainable activities, also the environmental management system and certifications, the importance of learning how to design green products, big data and data analytics. And also, I think that it's very important to work on the digitalization of human resources management. As you can see, most of these skills that we have identified are related to management, not only when it comes to C-level, but mainly middle management. We know and we think that this is an important issue and that leaders will definitely make the change. So we believe that we need to work on these skills and mainly to make the middle management learn them and really implement them.
Thank you so much, Vera, for your strong statements on this and reflecting on all the types of skills we need in the tourism sector. So thank you for a short reflection of that on Portugal. Then I would like to go to our final panelist, who is Javier Cancinos from Rural Tour, and he has done the desk research in France. And I have two questions for you, Javier. So there are some really innovative measures for the digitization and the greening of the tourism sector in France. And could you summarize the initiatives that are recently launched? For example, the support of startups, the French Tourism Lab, the digital tourism community, and the measures of the sustainability on the destination?
Good morning, and thanks to all listeners and speakers. Javier from Pantour, European Federation of World Tourism Association. There is some innovative measures of the digitization and greening of the tourist sectors in France. A program to support the digitization and innovation of tourist companies has been included in the Destination France plan. A plan called Let's Go Digital will be offered to support the digital transition of VSEs and SMEs in the tourist sector. And 10,000 digital transformation diagnoses are being financed under this plan. France has also developed a rich ecosystem for tourist innovation called France Tourist Lab. Since its creation, France Tourist Lab has supported nearly 400 startups, and in 6 years, this network has contributed to the creation of 1,750 jobs and the acceleration of a big amount of innovative tourist projects thanks to fundraising of public fundraising of 200 million euros. In addition, a travel tech plan has been launched to strengthen the community. First part of this plan is to create a French tourist community, bringing together the France Tourism Lab network, startups, mayor groups, public authorities, institutional bodies, and so on, organizing a permanent link between the players, encouraging the sharing of good practices and knowledge of needs, solutions, and products, and dealing with regularity issues and blocking points. And the tourist tour will be organized to feed up this community, consisting of a program of events with 15 days plan in the French regions and overseas. And concerning the green skills and sustainable tourism, there are several measures are planned to support this transformation of the tourist sector towards sustainable tourism and the greening of the infrastructures. They aim to broaden the geographical scope of actions to accelerate the ecological transition to VSEs, especially in restaurants and tourist accommodation in rural and peri-urban areas, and to support the rising of new forms of tourism, slow tourism, agritourism, and ecotourism. With a view of developing natural sites and investing in sustainable tourism infrastructures, several measures are being pursued, such as the creation of country trails and ecological anchorage, or investing in bicycle tourism. In addition, several complementary measures will support the development of sustainable tourism, such as support the adaptation of campsites to climate change in coastal areas, the modernization and greening of tourist accommodation classifications, the implementation of tools aimed to reducing the sector ecological footprint, and the greening of tourist transport, marinas, and water sport facilities.
Well, Javier, thank you so much for this broad overview of France. And I can imagine that there are even more examples that we also put in this desk research analysis report. I can talk on this for hours with every one of you, and of course there are more countries. But let's go to the ending of this webinar, and we make sure that the report with all the insights will be delivered to you as well. So I give the floor back to Anna Maria.
Thank you, Lopke, for this nice debate that you have had with these 5 countries. I am sure that all people who are now seeing us are willing to know a lot more about Pantour, about the skills, about how to disseminate skills in the tourism industry. As you have seen, we are working in many countries. We are a wide group of people working on how to implement the skills in tourism sector. We are willing to have some more results. We are just starting our work, but we are really happy with the first results. We will come back to you. We will prepare some more webinars so we can disseminate results. Thank you really for being there. Thank you for supporting us, and we will be in touch. Thank you. Goodbye.